Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into something disciplined, something gritty. A world of iron, leather, and endless roads. We're diving deep into what life was really like inside a Roman legion. Forget the glorious movie battles or the marble halls of the Senate. The truth is, you'd spend most of your time digging ditches, cleaning equipment, and desperately trying to ignore the blisters on your feet during the 20th mile of the day. So before you settle in, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Congratulations! You've just woken up in the year 100 AD. But you're not in a palace, or a villa, or even in Rome. You're in a crowded leather tent on the edge of the frontier. And that sharp trumpet blast you hear? That's the signal that the camp is stirring. It's 4 a.m. You are a Roman legionary soldier. It's around the year 100 AD, during the reign of the Emperor Trajan. The Roman Empire is at its peak, stretching from Britain to Egypt, from Spain to Syria. Millions of people, hundreds of cities, all controlled, ultimately, by men like you. But you're not special. You're not a hero. You're just a soldier. One of approximately 150,000 legionaries currently serving in the 30 or so legions scattered across the empire's frontiers. You're a number. A cog in a massive military machine that has been operating for centuries and will continue for centuries more. Your name is Marcus. That's not particularly original. Half the soldiers in your century seem to be named Marcus. Your full name is Marcus Antonius Rufus, though no one calls you that. You're just Marcus. Or Rufus, because of your reddish hair. Or reddish, as the other soldiers call you, usually not kindly. You're from Italy. From a small town south of Rome that no one's heard of. You're not from an important family. Your fighting is actually a small part of what you do. Battles are rare. Weeks or months can pass without combat. When it does happen, it's brutal, terrifying, and usually brief. Then it's back to marching, back to building, back to the routine. The routine. That's what defines legionary life. Everything is routine. Everything is scheduled. Everything follows rules laid down generations ago and refined through centuries of practice. The Roman army doesn't improvise. It repeats. The same drills. The same formations. The same camp layout. The same daily schedule. Over and over. For 25 years. You wake at the same time. Eat the same food. Perform the same duties. Sleep in the same type of tent. Day after day. Year after year. The routine is supposed to create discipline. And it does. But it also creates a crushing sense of monotony. The knowledge that today will be exactly like yesterday, and tomorrow will be exactly like today. But you endure it. You have no choice. Desertion means death. Disobedience means punishment, flogging, reduction in rank, extra duties, or worse. You signed up for 25 years, and the Legion will get 25 years from you, one way or another. The pay helps. You earn 225 denarii per year. That's not a fortune, but it's steady. More than a laborer makes. Enough to save slowly for your retirement, though much of it goes to mandatory deductions, for food, for equipment, for burial club dues, for various fees and bribes. What's left is yours, but it's not much. You won't get rich as a legionary, but you won't starve either. You live with your contubernium, your 8-man squad. These are the men you share a tent with, march with, fight beside. You know them better than you knew your own family. You've seen them sick, angry, drunk, terrified, exhausted. You've shared food with them, stood guard with them, dug latrines with them. Some you like, some you tolerate, some you actively dislike. But they're your brothers in arms, whether you want them to be or not. Your century, 80 men, despite the name, is commanded by a centurion. He's a career soldier who rose through the ranks. He's hard, experienced, and demands absolute obedience. He carries a vine stick that he uses to beat soldiers who displease him. You've felt that stick across your back more than once. Every soldier has. Your legion, around 5,000 men, is commanded by a legate, a Roman nobleman doing his required military service before pursuing a political career. You've never spoken to him. You've barely seen him. He exists in a different world, far above common soldiers like you. Between the legate and you are various officers, tribunes, prefects, junior centurions, creating a strict hierarchy. Everyone knows their place. Everyone follows orders. That's how the legion functions. That's how Rome conquered the world. And now, you're part of it. A small part. An insignificant part. But a part nonetheless. For better or worse, for the next 15 years, you are the legion, and the legion is you. You're waking up. It's still dark, but not the deep darkness of night. The gray half-light of pre-dawn. Outside your tent, you can hear movement. Voices. The sounds of a camp coming to life. You're lying on the ground. Hard ground, covered with a thin layer of dirt and grass. Your sleeping mat is a piece of leather, barely padded. Your blanket is wool, scratchy, heavy, smelling of sweat and smoke, and 10,000 previous nights. You share this tent with 7 other men, the members of your contubernium. 8 men in a space about 10 feet by 10 feet. They're packed in like fish in a barrel. The man next to you is still snoring. His name is Gaius. He always snores. It's driven you mad for 10 years. You've considered smothering him with his own blanket countless times. But you haven't, because Gaius is also the best fighter in your squad, and you might need him to save your life someday. On your other side is Lucius. He's already awake, staring at the tent ceiling. He's always awake before everyone else. You don't know if he doesn't sleep, or if he just wakes early. You've never asked. Lucius isn't the talking type. You sit up slowly. Your back protests. Everything hurts when you first wake up. Your shoulders ache from carrying equipment yesterday. Your legs are sore from the march. Your feet are a constant source of pain. Blisters, calluses, cracked skin. Every soldier has terrible feet. It comes with the job. The tent is cold. It's always cold in the morning, even in summer. The canvas provides shelter from wind and rain, but no warmth. Your breath makes small clouds. You can see the other men's breath too, rising in the dim light filtering through the tent flap. You need to piss. Badly. You've needed to for hours, but you didn't want to leave the tent in the night. Now you can't wait any longer. You throw off your blanket and immediately regret it as cold air hits your body. You sleep in your tunic. Everyone does. It's a simple garment, undyed wool, falling to your knees. During the day, you wear it under your armor. At night, it's your only clothing. You don't have pajamas. The concept doesn't exist. You sleep in what you wear, or you sleep naked, and naked is too cold most nights. You fumble for your sandals. Caligi, they're called. Heavy leather boots with hobnails on the soles. They're sitting where you left them, next to your sleeping spot. You pull them on, lacing them quickly. Your fingers are stiff and clumsy with cold. The tent flap opens. A head pokes in. It's one of the men from another contubernium. "Assemble in 10 minutes," he says, then disappears. This is the wake-up call. Not a bell or a bugle, just word passed from tent to tent. Assemble in 10 minutes. Get up. Get ready. Another day begins. You stand hunched over because the tent isn't tall enough to stand upright in. You step over the other men, some awake, some still sleeping. Gaius is finally stirring, grumbling curses. You push through the tent flap into the cold morning air. Outside, the camp is waking up. Hundreds of tents arranged in precise rows, each one identical, each one positioned exactly where regulations say it should be. The Roman legion doesn't do chaos. Everything is ordered, organized, predictable. Men are emerging from tents, stretching, yawning, scratching. Everyone looks rough in the morning. Hair disheveled. Faces stubbled. Eyes bleary. No one looks like a proud Roman soldier first thing in the morning. Everyone just looks tired. You walk toward the latrine. It's at the edge of camp, where it always is. The Romans are particular about sanitation. Latrines are always downwind, always separated from living areas, always maintained. You've seen what happens to armies that aren't careful about waste. Disease tears through them. Rome learned long ago that clean camps mean healthy soldiers. The latrine is a long ditch with a log positioned over it. Men sit on the log, side by side, doing their business. There's no privacy, no stalls, no doors. Just a row of men sitting on a log, shitting into a ditch, talking or not talking, depending on their mood. You take your place. The morning cold makes this particularly unpleasant. Next to you, a soldier you don't know is complaining about yesterday's march. On your other side, another man is silent, concentrating. The smell is terrible, but you're used to it. You've been using latrines like this for 10 years. When you're done, there's a sponge on a stick for cleaning yourself. It's communal. Everyone uses the same sponge. You rinse it in a bucket of vinegar water, use it, rinse it again, pass it to the next person. This seems horrifying if you think about it too much, so you don't think about it. You walk to the water trough. It's a long wooden trough filled with cold water from the nearby stream. Men are splashing their faces, trying to wake up fully. You do the same. The water is shockingly cold. It helps chase away the last of sleep's fog. You drink some water. Cup your hands, bring it to your mouth. It tastes of wood and earth. Not clean by modern standards, but clean enough by Roman standards. You drink deeply. You'll be thirsty later, during the march, and water won't always be available. Back at your tent, the other members of your contubernium are up now. Gaius is complaining about the cold. Lucius is already dressed and checking his equipment. The others are in various states of readiness. Your armor is piled next to your sleeping spot. You start putting it on. This is a process, not quick, practice through years of repetition. First, your tunic. You're already wearing it, but you adjust it, tighten the belt at your waist. The belt is important, it holds everything together. Next, your subarmales. This is a padded garment you wear under your armor. It's quilted fabric, stuffed with wool or linen. It provides some cushioning against the weight and chafing of armor. It's also another layer of warmth, which you appreciate in the morning cold. Then your lorica segmentata, your segmented armor. This is what makes a legionary recognizable. Bands of iron curved to fit your torso, held together with leather straps and brass fittings. It's heavy, about 20 pounds of metal, but it's flexible and provides good protection. You put it on with practiced motions. Fit it over your head and shoulders. Reach around to fasten the straps at the back. This is where having squad mates helps. They check your straps, tighten what needs tightening, make sure everything is secure. You do the same for them. The armor sits heavy on your shoulders. You'll carry this weight all day. Every day. Your body has adapted. Your shoulders are heavily muscled from years of bearing armor's weight. But it never stops being a burden. Your Baltius, military belt, goes around your waist. It's leather, decorated with brass fittings. From it hang leather straps called terrages, like a thick leather fringe. These protect your groin and upper thighs. They also make a distinctive slapping sound when you walk, the sound of Roman soldiers marching. Your Pugio dagger goes on your belt. It's a short, broad-bladed weapon. More tool than weapon, really. You use it for eating, cutting rope, general camp tasks. But it's also your last resort weapon if things go very wrong in combat. Your gladius, short sword, goes on your right side, hung from a baldric over your shoulder. This is your primary weapon. 2 feet of iron, broad-bladed, designed for stabbing rather than slashing. You've trained with it for years. You can draw it smoothly even in the dark. It's an extension of your arm by now. Your scutum, shield, is propped against the tent. It's large, rectangular, curved to fit your body. Made of wood covered with leather and canvas, with an iron boss in the center. It weighs about 20 pounds. Your left arm will hold this all day during the march. You'll feel every ounce of that weight. Your pilum, javelin, is also leaning against the tent. Actually, you carry 2 pila. They're heavy spears with long iron shanks. You'll throw them at the enemy before engaging in close combat. The shanks are designed to bend on impact, making the javelin useless to the enemy and dragging down their shields. Clever Roman engineering. Your helmet galea is the last piece, bronze or iron, depending on what your legion can afford. Yours is iron, simple but functional. It has cheek guards and a neck guard. It's uncomfortable, heavy, and makes your head hot. But it's saved your life at least twice that you know of, probably more times you don't. You put it on. The world narrows to what you can see through the helmet's opening. Sounds become muffled. You're fully armored now. A Roman legionary, ready for whatever the day brings. But that's just your fighting equipment. You're also carrying your marching pack. This is the real burden. The reason Roman soldiers are called Marius's mules after the general who reformed the army decades ago. Your sarcina, marching pack, contains everything you need to survive. It's attached to a T-shaped pole called a furca that you carry over your shoulder. In the pack, extra tunic, spare sandals, cloak, cooking pot, rations for several days, tools, saw, pickaxe, basket for moving earth, stakes for building camp fortifications, length of rope, personal items, dice, maybe a small good luck charm, writing materials if you're literate. The whole thing weighs about 60 pounds. Added to your armor and weapons, you're carrying close to 90 pounds of equipment. This is what you'll carry all day during the march. Every day. Mile after mile. This is why legionaries have such massive shoulders and legs. This is why old soldiers walk with permanent stoops. You hoist the pack onto your shoulder. The weight settles familiarly. Uncomfortable, but familiar. You've carried this weight for so many miles it's become part of you. The sun is rising now. The gray pre-dawn has given way to weak morning light. The camp is fully awake. Thousands of men moving, talking, preparing. The noise is considerable, armor clanking, men shouting, orders being called out, the general din of an army getting ready to move. Your centurion appears. He's already fully equipped, his helmet with its transverse crest marking his rank. He's carrying his fine stick. His face is hard, weathered by years of service. He looks over your contubernium with a critical eye. Formation, he says. Just the one word. Everyone knows what it means. You form up with your century. 8 rows of 10 men. Everyone in their assigned spot. You're in the 3rd row, 4th position from the left. You've stood in this exact spot for years. You'll probably stand here for years more, unless you're promoted or killed or transferred. The centurion walks along the formation, inspecting. He checks armor, weapons, equipment. He stops in front of one soldier, says something sharp. The soldier adjusts his belt. The centurion moves on. This is the morning inspection. It happens every day. The centurion ensures everyone is properly equipped, properly dressed, ready for the day's tasks. Failure to meet standards means punishment. The vines stick across your back. Extra duties. Reduced rations. The centurion has wide latitude to discipline his men, and he uses it. Your century is one of 6 in your cohort. Your cohort is one of 10 in your legion. 5,000 men, all going through this same ritual right now. All being inspected. All preparing for the day. The scale is staggering when you think about it. But you don't think about it. You just stand in formation, waiting for inspection to end, thinking about nothing in particular. The sun is fully up now. The camp is bathed in morning light. It's going to be a clear day. That's good. Rain makes everything worse. But clear means hot later, and hot marches are their own kind of misery. The inspection ends. The centurion seems satisfied, or at least not actively angry. He nods to the optio, his second in command, and turns away. Prepare to march, the optio calls. Camp strikes in 1 hour. 1 hour. That means breakfast first, then breaking camp. You have 60 minutes before the legion moves out. 60 minutes before another day of marching begins. You fall out of formation and head toward the mess area. Time to eat. Time to fuel your body for whatever comes next. The day has begun. Just like yesterday. Just like tomorrow. Just like every day in the Legion. You make your way to the mess area. It's not a building. The Legion is in a temporary marching camp, so there are no permanent structures. Just a designated area with fire pits and cooking equipment. Each contubernium handles its own cooking. One of your 8 men is assigned cooking duty on a rotating basis. Today it's Sextus. He's already at the fire pit preparing the morning meal. Sextus is actually a decent cook, by Legion standards. Some men in your squad burn everything they touch. Sextus at least makes edible food. The fire pit is a shallow hole lined with stones. A fire burns in it. Sextus must have started it before dawn. Wood smoke rises into the morning air. The smell is familiar, comforting even. Camps always smell of wood smoke and men and horses and leather. Your rations are stored in the squad's packed mule equipment. The Legion uses mules to carry heavy supplies, tents, tools, extra weapons, food. Your contubernium supplies are kept together, and each man is responsible for his share. Breakfast is simple. It's always simple. Roman soldiers don't eat elaborate meals. Food is fuel, nothing more. Today's breakfast is bucellatum, hardtack biscuits. These are thick, hard wheat biscuits, baked until they're nearly indestructible. They last for months without spoiling. They're also nearly impossible to eat without preparation. You don't bite into bucellatum. You'd break your teeth. Instead, you soak it. Sextus has a pot of water boiling over the fire. He breaks the biscuits into chunks and drops them in. They need to soften before they're edible. While they soak, he adds other ingredients. Olive oil. Every Roman soldier gets an oil ration. It's added to almost everything, for calories, for flavor, for moisture. Sextus pours a generous amount into the pot. The water becomes cloudy with oil. Salt. Also rationed, also added to everything. Salt is precious, valuable. Roman soldiers are sometimes paid in salt. That's where the word salary comes from. Sextus adds a pinch, carefully. Waste is punished. Pasca. This is what you drink instead of water. It's vinegar mixed with water, sometimes with herbs added. It sounds unpleasant, but it's actually refreshing, and the vinegar kills some of the harmful things in questionable water. Every soldier drinks pasca. You've grown to like it, or at least not actively hate it. Sextus ladles the softened biscuit porridge into bowls. It's a thick, grayish mixture. Not appealing to look at. But it's hot, filling, and provides energy for the day ahead. You take your bowl and a cup of pasca and sit on the ground with the rest of your contubernium. You eat in silence, mostly. Some squads are chatty in the morning. Yours isn't. Everyone is still waking up, still adjusting to being conscious. The food disappears quickly. You're hungry, you're always hungry. Rations are calculated to keep you functional, not satisfied. Gaius finishes first. He always does. He eats like he's in a race. Another day, another march, he says, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. My feet already hurt and we haven't even started. Your feet always hurt, Lucius says. It's the most you've heard him say this morning. Because we're always marching, Gaius replies. 20 miles a day, every day my feet will hurt until I'm discharged, and probably after. He's not wrong. 20 miles is the standard day's march. Sometimes more if the legion needs to move quickly, sometimes less if terrain is difficult. But 20 miles is the baseline. 20 miles carrying 90 pounds of equipment. 20 miles in formation, keeping pace with thousands of other men. 20 miles that turns into 500 miles in a month, 6,000 miles in a year, 60,000 miles over a career. You've marched the length of the empire multiple times. From Rome to the Rhine. From the Rhine to the Danube. From the Danube back to Rome. The roads you've walked could circle the world. Or at least that's what it feels like. Could be worse, Sextus says, scraping out the pot. Could be raining. Everyone glances at the sky. It's clear. That's good. Rain makes marching miserable. Wet leather chafes. Wet wool weighs more. Wet ground means mud. Mud means slower progress, more effort, more exhaustion. Don't jinx it, Gaius mutters. You finish your porridge and pasca. The meal sits heavy in your stomach. It's not delicious, but it's adequate. You've eaten this same breakfast thousands of times. You'll eat it thousands more. Other contubernii are eating too. All around you, groups of 8 men sitting around fire pits, eating their morning rations, preparing for the day. The scale of it is impressive, thousands of men, all being fed, all at the same time, all from rations that were calculated weeks ago and transported here on mule back and carefully distributed. Roman military logistics is an art form. You wash your bowl in a bucket of water. It's not very clean water, but it's clean enough. You dry the bowl with a rag and pack it back in your equipment. Everything has its place. Everything must be accounted for. Lost equipment means penalties deducted from your pay. The sun is higher now. The morning is progressing. You have maybe 30 minutes before the order to strike camp comes. 30 minutes to prepare for the march, to make sure everything is ready, to take care of any last-minute needs. You check your equipment one more time. Your gladius, is it secure in its scabbard? Yes. Your pugio, is it sharp? Sharp enough. Your pila, are the shafts intact? They are. Your shield, any damage? A few new dents and scratches from yesterday's practice drills, but nothing serious. Your armor, all straps tight? You do a quick check, tightening one that's loosened slightly. Your caligy, your sandals, are the most important item. Everything else can be improvised, but without functional footwear, you can't march. You check the straps, the hobnails on the soles. Everything seems sound. You'll check again during the march, during the rest breaks. Foot care is critical. Blisters can end a soldier's career as surely as a sword. Other men are doing the same checks. Some are sharpening weapons. Some are adjusting armor. Some are just sitting, conserving energy before the march begins. A few are gambling. Dice games are popular, though technically prohibited. The centurion turns a blind eye as long as it doesn't interfere with duties. You sit with your back against your packed equipment and close your eyes for a moment. Not sleeping. Just resting. The morning sun is warm on your face. For a brief moment, you're not thinking about the march ahead or the day's labor. You're just existing in this moment. It's as close to peace as Legion life offers. The moment doesn't last long. A horn sounds. Long, brassy, unmistakable. The signal to strike camp. Break down everything. Pack up. Prepare to march. The Legion is moving. Everyone rises as one. There's no hesitation. The horn means move. Now. Immediately. Striking camp is a choreographed operation. Every legion does it the same way. Every time. The routine is so ingrained that men could do it in their sleep. Many have. Your tent comes down first. 8 men working together. Someone pulls the stakes anchoring the guy ropes. Someone else loosens the ropes themselves. 2 men support the center pole while others work. The tent collapses inward in a controlled fall. It's been practiced so many times that it happens in less than a minute. The tent is made of leather panels sewn together. Goatskin, usually. It's heavy. The tent, poles, stakes, and ropes together weigh about 60 pounds. That weight is distributed among the contubernium, but it's still significant additional burden on top of personal equipment. The leather is rolled carefully. It must be packed a specific way, or it won't fit properly on the mule. Someone else is gathering stakes, counting them. All 8 stakes must be accounted for. Missing equipment means the entire squad pays the replacement cost. The center pole, actually 2 poles that fit together, is disassembled. The ropes are coiled. Everything is organized, packed, loaded onto the mule that carries your contubernium's shared equipment. Around you, hundreds of other tents are coming down in precisely the same way. It's like watching a city disappear. 10 minutes ago, this was a densely packed camp with organized streets and rows of tents. Now it's becoming an empty field with organized groups of men standing ready. The speed is remarkable. A Roman legion can strike camp, form up, and begin marching in under an hour. You've done it in less when enemy action demanded it. This efficiency is one reason Rome conquers its enemies. Roman armies can move faster, deploy quicker, and adapt more rapidly than anyone else. But it requires discipline. Everyone doing their part. Everyone following the routine. No one hesitating, no one confused about what to do next. Years of drilling make it automatic. The fire pits are carefully extinguished. Water is poured on coals. Earth is kicked over them. No trace of fire can remain. Fire discipline is strict. Accidental fires can destroy supplies, even harm men. Also, leaving dead fires can signal your route to enemies. Romans are thorough. The latrines are filled in. The ditches that marked the camp's perimeter are partially collapsed. Not completely, that would take too long, but enough that they're no longer functional defenses. What was a fortified camp an hour ago is becoming just an empty field with some disturbed earth. You're standing in formation now, with your sentry. Everyone is loaded with equipment. Shield on left arm. Pack on shoulder. Hela held upright. Helmet on. Armor fastened. Ready to march. The legion forms up by cohorts. Your cohort, about 480 men, stands in its designated position. 9 other cohorts are forming up around you. 5,000 men arranging themselves with practiced precision. From above, it must look like a complicated dance, pieces moving into place. The first cohort forms at the front. They're the senior cohort with the most experienced men. They march first, set the pace. Your cohort is fourth in line. You'll march behind the third cohort, ahead of the fifth. Always the same position. Romans like order. The baggage train is being assembled. Mules are loaded with tents, tools, extra weapons, food supplies. Servants and slaves who travel with the legion are organizing the pack animals. Cavalry, auxiliaries, not legionaries, are mounted and ready to screen the column's flanks. The camp is empty now except for the formed legion. What took hours to build last night has been erased in under an hour this morning. This is Roman military efficiency. This is why the empire spans a continent. Your centurion walks along your sentry's formation, making a final inspection. He pauses here and there, adjusts a man's equipment, says something sharp to another. He reaches you, looks you over quickly, grunts approval, moves on. You've passed. You're ready to march. The legate, the legion's commander, is mounted on a horse at the front of the column. You can barely see him from your position in the fourth cohort. He's surrounded by his staff officers, also mounted. They look small in the distance, but their authority is absolute. A horn sounds, high and clear. The signal to march. Another day's journey begins. The first cohort steps off. They move as one, starting the march. The second cohort follows. Then the third. Then yours. You step forward with your sentry. Left foot first, always left foot first for Roman soldiers. Right foot would be unlucky. Superstition perhaps, but everyone follows it. Thousands of men all stepping off with their left foot at precisely the same moment. The pace is set by the first cohort. About 3 miles per hour. That might not sound fast, but try maintaining it for 6 or 7 hours carrying 90 pounds. It's brutally demanding. The pace is called the military step, measured, constant, relentless. You don't run. You don't stroll. You march. 1 foot in front of the other, hour after hour. The ground here is relatively flat. That helps. The legion is following a Roman road, one of the great roads that crisscross the empire. This one is paved with stones, well maintained, wide enough for the legion to march 4 abreast in some places. Roman roads are engineering marvels. Straight wherever possible. Graded for drainage. Paved with fitted stones. Built to last centuries. Soldiers built most of them. Men like you, between campaigns, during garrison duty. Digging, hauling, laying stone. Back-breaking work that created the infrastructure that holds the empire together. Your contubernium marches together. 8 men in 2 rows of 4. You're in the front row, right side. Gaius is to your left. Lucius is behind you. The formation is tight. You're close enough to touch the men around you. That's intentional. Close formation means discipline. It prevents straggling. The weight of your equipment settles into familiar pain. Your left shoulder, bearing the shield, begins to ache within the first mile. Your right shoulder, carrying the pack, joins it shortly after. Your legs feel the weight too, and your feet and your back. Everything hurts. You've barely begun, and everything already hurts. But you march anyway. You've marched through worse. You've marched with wounds, with fevers, with infected blisters so painful you wanted to cry. You've marched in snow and rain and desert heat. This is just another march. You endure it because you must. The column stretches for miles. 5,000 men plus support personnel and baggage animals make for a long train. From your position in the middle, you can't see the front or rear. Just the cohort ahead and the cohort behind. A river of soldiers flowing along the road. The sound is constant. Thousands of caligae hitting stone in rhythm. The jingle of equipment. The creak of leather. The occasional curse when someone stumbles. The bellowed orders from centurions. The sound of an army on the move. No one talks much while marching. Talking takes breath, and breath is precious. You conserve it. You fall into the rhythm of the march. Step, step, step. Don't think. Just march. Empty your mind. Become the march. This is what fills most of your time as a legionary. Not fighting. Not glory. Just this. Marching. Carrying impossible weight over impossible distances. Doing it day after day, because that's what Rome requires. Your mind wanders as you march. It always does. You think about nothing important. Yesterday's meal. A girl you knew 10 years ago in your hometown. Whether your feet will develop new blisters today, or if the existing calluses will hold. Random thoughts, disconnected, a way to pass the time. The sun is fully up now, climbing toward midday. It's getting warmer. Sweat begins to gather under your armor. The padding beneath the metal becomes damp. The metal itself becomes hot to touch. By midday, your armor will be almost unbearably hot. But you can't remove it. You march in full armor. Always. That's the rule. The road continues ahead, straight and endless. The landscape barely changes. Fields. Occasional trees. A farmhouse in the distance. The empire is everywhere here, tamed and ordered. Peaceful because Rome's soldiers march its roads and keep it peaceful. You're thirsty already. You have a water skin, but you don't drink from it yet. Water is ration during marches. You drink at the rest breaks, not before. Discipline. Always discipline. The march continues. The miles accumulate slowly. 1 mile. 2. 3. The morning passes in a blur of repetitive motion. Step. 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 Shield growing heavier. Pack digging into your shoulder. Legs beginning to burn with fatigue. This is hour 2 of what will likely be a 6 or 7 hour march. You've barely begun. 20 miles to go. 20 miles of this grinding, relentless pace. 20 miles to the next camp, where you'll arrive exhausted, only to spend 2 more hours building fortifications before you can finally rest. This is a legionary's life. Not glory. Not honor. Just this. The march. The endless, exhausting march. The march that never quite ends, even when you stop, because tomorrow you'll march again. And you keep marching. Because you have no choice. Because desertion means death. Because this is what you signed up for, even if you didn't fully understand what that meant. Because you are a Roman legionary. And Roman legionaries march. You've been marching for over 3 hours now. The sun is approaching its zenith. The temperature has risen steadily. What was merely warm an hour ago is now genuinely hot. The metal of your armor is hot to the touch. The padding underneath is soaked with sweat. Your tunic clings to your body, damp and uncomfortable. The water's skin at your belt is lighter now. You've been taking small sips at the permitted intervals. The water is warm, tastes of leather and stale vinegar. But it's wet, and wet is what matters. Your throat is constantly dry, despite the water. The heat and exertion burn through moisture faster than you can replace it. Your feet are the worst. Always your feet. Inside your caligy, you can feel the familiar hot spots developing. The places where leather rubs skin. The places that will become blisters if they aren't already. You've learned to identify them by feel, a particular kind of burning sensation that means the skin is separating, filling with fluid, preparing to rupture. You can't stop to deal with them now. You march through it. Everyone does. Blisters are so common, they're barely worth mentioning. You'll address them during the rest break if there's time. Apply some of the olive oil you carry for cooking. Maybe wrap the worst spots with strips of cloth. Makeshift solutions that barely help but are better than nothing. The rhythm of the march has become hypnotic. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. The sound of thousands of boots on stone creates a drumbeat that fills your head. You're not really thinking anymore. Just moving. Existing in the mechanical repetition of the march. It's a survival mechanism. If you thought too much about what you're doing, about how much farther you have to go, you'd go mad. The man ahead of you is limping slightly. You notice it because you're staring at his back, have been staring at it for hours. His right foot, he's favoring it. Probably a bad blister. Possibly worse. You've seen men march on broken bones rather than fall out and face punishment. Pain is relative when the alternative is a centurion's vine stick. Gaius, beside you, is breathing heavily. His face is red, streaming with sweat. He's carrying more weight than you, he's bigger, so he was assigned more of the contubernium's shared equipment. He doesn't complain though. Complaining doesn't change anything. He just breathes and marches and endures. Behind you, you hear someone stumble. The sound of equipment clattering. A curse quickly suppressed. You don't turn to look. Eyes forward. Keep formation. The centurion is watching. Always watching. Any break in formation is noted, punished later if it's deemed serious enough. The landscape has been unchanging for miles. Rolling hills covered with fields and scattered trees. This is Gaul, or maybe Germania. You've lost track of exactly where you are. The empire is vast, and you've marched through so much of it that it all blends together. Roman roads, Roman milestones, Roman order imposed on diverse lands. Occasionally you pass civilians. Farmers working their fields stop to watch the legion pass. Children stare wide-eyed at the soldiers. Women hurry their children away. A legion on the march is impressive, but also frightening. 5,000 armed men, moving with purpose. Even in peacetime, it's an intimidating sight. The civilians are a reminder that life exists outside the legion. People who don't march. Who stay in one place. Who sleep in the same bed every night. You remember that life vaguely from before you enlisted. It seems like a dream now, distant and unreal. This is your reality, the march, the wait, the pain, the endless forward movement. You pass a milestone. Every mile of every Roman road has a stone marker indicating the distance to the nearest major city. This one says 12. 12 miles. Probably 12 miles to wherever the legion is heading. Probably 8 miles already marched today. 8 down, 12 to go. The arithmetic of exhaustion. But wait, that can't be right. 20-mile marches are standard. If this milestone says 12 miles to the destination, and you've marched 8, that's only 20 miles if you started exactly on a milestone, which you probably didn't. You're too tired to work it out properly. The numbers swim in your head. It doesn't matter. You'll march until you're told to stop. That's all that matters. The sun beats down mercilessly. You're grateful for your helmet, despite its weight and discomfort. It shades your face at least. Some protection from the sun's assault. You've seen men collapse from heat during summer marches. Collapse suddenly, without warning. One moment marching, the next moment sprawled on the ground, unconscious or worse. Heat exhaustion. Heat stroke. The Legion has terms for it, treatments that sometimes work and sometimes don't. Cold water if available. Rest in shade. Salt to replace what's lost in sweat. But mostly, men who collapse are loaded onto wagons and either recover or don't. The march doesn't stop for individuals. You're not at that point. Not yet. You're hot and tired and in pain, but you're still upright. Still moving. Still functional. You've learned your limits over years of this. You know how much you can endure. Quite a lot, it turns out. The body can tolerate incredible hardship if the mind doesn't give up. Your mind is playing tricks on you, though. The heat does that. You keep thinking you see shade ahead, a tree, a building, anything to block the sun. But it's always farther than it looks, and when you reach where it should be, it's not there. Or it is there, but the Legion doesn't stop. The march continues past potential relief, always forward, always moving. Your thoughts drift to water. Cool water. A stream. A well with fresh, cold water. You fantasize about plunging your head into it. Drinking until your belly aches. The fantasy is so vivid you can almost feel the cold water on your face. Then someone ahead stumbles again, breaks your reverie, reminds you where you are. On a hot road, in heavy armor, miles from anywhere, marching because that's what you do. A horn sounds. Short, sharp blasts. The signal to halt. Rest break. The Legion comes to a stop. The relief is immediate and overwhelming. You stop moving and just stand there for a moment, legs trembling, letting the weight settle. Around you, 5,000 men are experiencing the same relief. The sound of the march, that constant rhythm, stops. The silence is almost shocking. At ease, the centurion calls. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You lower your shield to the ground. It's been on your arm for 4 hours. Your left arm is numb, the muscles screaming as blood flow returns. You flex your fingers, shake your arm. Pins and needles sensation floods through it. Painful, but it means the limb is still alive, still functional. You let your pack slide off your shoulder. The relief is exquisite. The pressure on your shoulders lifts. You feel almost weightless without it, though you're still wearing 40 pounds of armor. Everything is relative. Men are sitting, lying down, removing helmets, drinking water. Some are checking their feet. Others are just sprawled on the ground, too tired to do anything but breathe. The centurion is walking among his men, making sure no one is seriously injured, no one collapsing from heat. You sit on the ground. The stone of the road is hard, but you don't care. Sitting is luxury after 4 hours of marching. You remove your helmet. Cool air hits your sweat-soaked hair. The relief is incredible. You wipe your face with your hand. It comes away wet with sweat. Your water skin is nearly empty. You drink the last of it in careful sips. Not gulps. Gulping leads to cramps, vomiting. Careful sips, letting your body absorb the moisture. The water is hot, tastes terrible, but it's life itself right now. Gaius is sprawled next to you, breathing hard. Halfway done, he gasps. Probably. Probably, you agree. Your voice is hoarse. You haven't spoken in hours. Lucius is removing his caligy. He hisses when he sees his feet. Even from where you sit, you can see the blisters. Angry red patches on his heels and toes. Some have already burst, leaving raw, weeping skin. He digs in his pack for oil, starts treating them. You should check your own feet. You unlace your caligy, pull them off. The relief is immediate. Your feet are pale, wrinkled from sweat, and yes, blistered. Not as bad as Lucius, but bad enough. 3 new blisters on your right foot alone. 1 on your left heel that's already burst. You have a small jar of olive oil in your pack. You pull it out, rub oil on the worst spots. It stings but helps. The oil will reduce friction, might prevent the blisters from getting worse. You wrap strips of cloth around your heels and toes, patting the damaged areas. The cloth will probably shift during the march, but again, it's better than nothing. While you work, you notice other men's feet. Nearly everyone has blisters. Some have feet that are masses of calluses built up over years, but even those feet have raw spots. Foot damage is unavoidable in the Legion. You march too much, carry too much weight, wear inadequate footwear. Feet suffer. Some men are eating, pulling out dried meat or hard biscuits from their packs. You're not hungry, despite having only had porridge for breakfast hours ago. The heat has killed your appetite. But you should eat something. You need the energy. You pull out a piece of dried meat, salted pork, tough as leather, and gnaw on it. Chewing is difficult. Your jaw is tired, your mouth dry despite the water. But you chew and swallow. Fuel for the rest of the march. The 10 minutes pass too quickly. Time always moves differently during rest breaks. When you're marching, it crawls. When you're resting, it flies. The horn sounds again. End of break. Time to move. The groans are audible. No one wants to get up. Standing up after sitting is agony. Your legs have stiffened. Your shoulders protest as you hoist your pack again. Your feet, briefly relieved, are thrust back into the torture devices called caligy. But everyone stands. Everyone shoulders their burden. Everyone falls back into formation. Because that's what you do. The Legion moves, and you move with it. The march resumes. Left foot first. Back into the rhythm. Back into the heat. Back into the pain. The second half of the day's march has begun. The afternoon is worse than the morning. You're already tired, already in pain, already depleted. And you have to keep going. This is when the march becomes truly difficult. Not physically harder, the pace is the same, but mentally harder. You know what's ahead. More hours of the same suffering. No end in sight yet. Your wrapped feet are marginally better, but starting to hurt again anyway. The cloth has shifted, as you knew it would. New pressure points are developing. You feel them with each step. Sharp little pains that will become blisters tomorrow, on top of today's blisters. The cycle never ends. The man ahead of you, the one who was limping earlier, is limping worse now. He's falling slightly behind the pace. The Optio, the centurion's second, is beside him, saying something sharp. The man speeds up, trying to keep pace despite obvious pain. You've been there. You know what it's like to march on injuries, to keep moving through sheer willpower when your body is begging to stop. The water is gone. All of it. You finished your ration at the rest break. There's no more until you reach tonight's camp. Your mouth is dry as dust. Your tongue feels thick. Thirst is becoming urgent, demanding. But there's nothing to be done. You march on, thirsty. The landscape is changing slightly. Hills are getting steeper. The road climbs. Marching uphill is exponentially harder. The weight on your back becomes crushing. Your legs burn with effort. Your breathing becomes labored. But you climb because the road climbs and you follow the road. At the top of a hill you can see ahead for miles. The cohorts in front of you snake along the road, a long column of men and equipment. It's an impressive sight, in a way. The power of Rome made visible. But you're too tired to be impressed. You just see more marching, more road, more distance to cover. The descent is almost as hard as the climb. Downhill puts different stress on your legs, your knees. Your feet slide forward in your caliggy with each step, jamming your toes against the front. More blisters forming. More pain. Nothing about this is easy. Dust has become a problem. 5,000 men marching raises a lot of dust, even on a paved road. It hangs in the air, gets in your eyes, your nose, your mouth. You're breathing it, tasting it. The man ahead of you is coughing. You resist the urge to cough yourself. Coughing hurts when you're this tired. The sun is beginning its descent toward the horizon. Not sunset yet, but late afternoon. You've been marching for 6 hours now. 6 hours. You calculate the distance. 3 miles per hour, 6 hours, that's 18 miles. Maybe 20 depending on the exact pace and terrain. You must be close to the end. Must be. But the march continues. Step after step. Mile after mile. The pain has become a constant background noise. You've almost stopped noticing it because there's never a moment without it. Pain is just the state of existence now. Your mind has gone to strange places. You're almost hallucinating from exhaustion and heat. You think you see your mother for a moment, standing by the road. Impossible, she's hundreds of miles away, probably dead by now, you haven't seen her in 10 years. But for a moment, she's there. Then she's not. Just another trick of the tired mind. You think about nothing and everything. Disconnected thoughts. Food. Sleep. A girl you knew once. The sound rain makes on tent canvas. Whether there's really life after death, or if the priests are lying. Random, meaningless thoughts that occupy your mind and distract from the physical misery. The sun is definitely lower now. Long shadows stretch across the road. The temperature is dropping slightly. Not cool yet, but less brutally hot. This is good timing. You're too tired to handle much more heat. Evening marches are easier, at least temperature-wise. Another milestone. 7. 7 miles. So close. 7 miles is only about 2 more hours of marching. 2 more hours and you can stop. You can build camp, which is its own form of exhausting labor, but at least you won't be marching. You can eat. You can sleep. Eventually, you can sleep. The prospect of the day ending gives you a tiny bit of energy. Not much, but enough to keep moving. The end is in sight, literally. 7 more miles. You've marched 19 already, assuming you're reading the milestone correctly. Your arithmetic is probably off. You're too tired for math. The Legion scouts have ridden ahead. They'll be selecting tonight's camp location. Somewhere flat, near water, defensible. The Legion never camps randomly. Every camp is carefully chosen according to doctrine developed over centuries. The Legion is predictable, but that predictability is its strength. You can see some of the scouts returning now, riding past the column toward the legate at the front. They'll report the campsite location. Orders will be issued. The Legion will arrive and immediately begin construction. No rest until the camp is built. That's the rule. Your legs are moving automatically now. You're not consciously controlling them. They just step, one after the other, mechanical movements driven by routine and discipline rather than thought. This is the deep exhaustion that comes with very long marches. You're running on empty, but you're still running. Gaius is quiet beside you. Everyone is quiet. No energy left for talking. Just breathing. Just marching. Just enduring. The afternoon grinds on slowly, painfully, but it does grind on. Time passes because time has no choice but to pass. The sun touches the horizon. The sky turns orange and pink. Beautiful if you had the energy to appreciate it. But beauty is irrelevant when you're this tired. The sunset just means the day is ending. Means you're almost done. That's all that matters. The road ahead curves. Around the curve you see it. The column ahead is slowing. They're arriving at the camp location. The day's march is ending. Actually ending. The relief is so intense it's almost painful. You've made it. 20 miles, give or take. 6 or 7 hours of marching. 90 pounds of equipment carried the entire way. You've done it again, like you've done it hundreds of times before. Like you'll do it hundreds of times more. The Legion comes to a stop. The march is over. But the work is just beginning. The Legion has stopped, but there's no celebration. No relief. Just a brief moment of standing still while orders are issued. You're exhausted from the march, legs trembling, feet screaming with pain. But you're not done. Not even close. The site chosen for tonight's camp is a flat area near a stream. Good ground for building. Access to water. Slight elevation that makes defense easier. The scouts have chosen well, as they always do. This is what they're trained for. The legate and his staff are already marking out the camp's boundaries. They use a tool called a groma, a surveying instrument with plumb lines. They're establishing the camp's corners, its orientation, the positions of its gates. Everything must be precise. Roman camps aren't random. They follow a standard layout, the same layout used everywhere in the empire. A soldier could be transferred from Britain to Syria and find a camp identical to the one he left. This standardization has advantages. Everyone knows where everything goes. No confusion. No wasted time deciding placement. The headquarters tent goes here. The hospital tent goes there. The granaries, the officers' quarters, the common soldiers' tents, all have assigned positions. You could navigate a Roman camp blindfolded because they're all the same. Your centurion is receiving instructions from the tribune. You can't hear what's being said, but you know what it is. Your sentry will be assigned a section of the perimeter to fortify. Every sentry gets a section. The camp will be built simultaneously from all sides, completed in hours rather than days. The centurion returns. His face is hard, showing no sympathy for tired men. Drop your packs, he orders. Keep your weapons and tools. We're building the northern rampart, Section 3. You let your marching pack slide to the ground. The relief is immediate, but short-lived. You're keeping your weapons, gladius, pugio, shield. And you're grabbing your tools. The pick, the shovel, the wicker basket. Tools for digging, for moving earth, for building fortifications. Every legionary is also a laborer. Rome's soldiers build as much as they fight. Maybe more. You've built hundreds of these temporary camps. You'll build hundreds more. The routine is so ingrained you could do it while asleep. Which is fortunate, because you're almost asleep on your feet. The sentry forms up and moves to the assigned section. The northern perimeter, Section 3. A stretch of ground about 100 feet long. This is what your 80 men will fortify. 8 contubernii. each responsible for about 12 feet of rampart. The optio is marking out the ditch line with stakes. The ditch will be dug first, the earth from it used to build the rampart behind. Efficient Roman engineering. Nothing is wasted. Every action serves multiple purposes. Your contubernium gathers at your assigned 12-foot section. 8 men, 12 feet of ditch to dig. You've done this calculation many times. Roughly 18 inches per man. Doesn't sound like much, but the ditch must be deep, at least 5 feet, preferably 6, and wide, about 8 feet across. That's a lot of earth to move. Sextus, who was cooked this morning, is now wielding a pick. Gaius has a shovel. Lucius has a basket. You have a shovel too. Everyone has a tool. Everyone knows their role. This is as practiced as the march itself. The work begins immediately. No preamble, no discussion. Just work. Sextus swings his pick into the ground. The earth here is packed clay, hard and resistant. The pick bites in, breaks up a chunk. Gaius shovels it aside. Lucius loads it into his basket. You're swinging your own pick now. The tool is heavy, made heavier by exhaustion. Your shoulders, already sore from the march, protest with each swing. But you swing anyway. Break up earth. Let the next man shovel it. Repeat. Over and over. The work is hard. Brutally hard. You're exhausted before you even begin. Your body is running on reserves you didn't know you had. But stopping isn't an option. Everyone works. The centurion is watching. The optio is watching. Slacking means punishment. So you work. The ditch takes shape slowly. 6 feet wide at the bottom, 8 at the top. The sides slope inward, making it harder to climb. The earth removed piles up behind where the rampart will be built. The pile grows as you dig deeper. Your hands, already blistered from the march, develop new blisters from the tools. The pick's handle rubs skin raw. The shovel does the same. You feel new blisters forming, bursting, forming again. Your hands are bloody and raw, but you keep working. Everyone's hands are the same. Bloody hands are normal. Sweat pours off you despite the cooling evening air. The physical exertion generates heat. Your tunic is soaked through. Sweat stings your eyes. You wipe your face with your arm and keep digging. The sun is setting now. The sky is darkening. You're working in twilight, shadows lengthening, making it harder to see. But you keep working. The camp must be complete before full darkness. That's the rule. A Roman legion never sleeps in an unfortified camp. Never. The risk is too great. Around you, hundreds of other men are doing the same work. The entire perimeter is being fortified simultaneously. The sound is immense. Picks striking earth, shovels scraping, men grunting with effort, options shouting orders. The sound of an army building its nightly fortress. Your section of ditch is maybe 3 feet deep now. Halfway there. But progress is slowing. The deeper you dig, the harder it becomes. You're working in the bottom of the ditch now, bent over, less leverage for your tools. And you're so tired. So incredibly tired. Gaius is breathing in ragged gasps. His face is red, veins standing out on his forehead. He's a big man, strong, but even he has limits. He's reaching them. You all are. But you keep digging. Because stopping means the work doesn't get done. Means the camp isn't secure. Means someone else has to do your share. And that's unacceptable. You don't leave work for your brothers. You do your part. The ditch is 4 feet deep. Then 5. The sides are steeped clean. Roman military engineering at work. Nothing sloppy. Everything precise. Even exhausted men dig proper ditches because they've been trained to, because anything less would shame them. 6 feet. You've reached the required depth. The ditch is complete. You climb out, muscles trembling. Stand at the top and look at what you've created. A ditch 6 feet deep, 8 feet wide, running the length of your section. 12 feet of it, dug by 8 men in about 40 minutes. Multiply that by the entire legion. The entire perimeter is now ringed by a ditch. A significant defensive obstacle. Any attacker must cross this ditch to reach the camp. At night, in darkness, it's even more formidable. Men charging in the dark will fall into it, injure themselves, become easy targets. But the ditch is only the first part. Now comes the rampart. The earth excavated from the ditch, tons of it, is piled behind the ditch line. This earth will become the rampart. The wall that surrounds the camp. The primary defense. The earth must be shaped, compacted, raised to proper height. The pile is just a pile. It needs to become a wall. Minimum height, 6 feet, preferably 8. High enough that attackers can't easily climb it. Steep enough that climbing is difficult, even if attempted. You grab a wicker basket filled with earth. It weighs about 50 pounds. You carry it to the rampart, dump it where the optio indicates. Return for another basket. Carry it. Dump it. Return. Over and over. Other men are shaping the earth as it's dumped. Tamping it down with their feet, with tools. Hacking it tight. The rampart must be solid, not loose. Loose earth crumbles. Solid earth holds. Your legs are barely functioning. Each trip with a basket is agony. Your thighs burn. Your knees threaten to buckle. But you make the trip. Dump the basket. Return for another. The rampart grows. 3 feet high. 4 feet. The pile of excavated earth is shrinking as it's moved and shaped into the wall. The work is mechanical, mindless. Fill basket. Carry basket. Dump basket. Return. Repeat. Full darkness has fallen now. Torches have been lit. Men work by torchlight, shadows dancing. The scene is almost surreal. Hundreds of exhausted men, moving earth, building walls, fortifying a camp that didn't exist an hour ago. 5 feet. 6 feet. The rampart is nearly complete. Just a bit more earth to move. A bit more shaping to do. You're operating on pure willpower now. Your body has given up. Your mind is pushing it forward, through sheer stubborn refusal to stop. The last basket. The last of the earth. You dump it on the rampart. Someone else shapes it, packs it down. The wall is complete. 8 feet high, sloped on both sides. Topped with stakes that other men are hammering into place. The stakes, pila morelia, are wooden poles with sharpened ends. Each soldier carries 2 in his marching pack. They're planted on top of the rampart, angled outward, creating a palisade. A wall of wooden spikes that must be overcome before an attacker even reaches the rampart itself. You're hammering your stakes into place now. Drive them deep into the packed earth. Angle them correctly. Make sure they're secure. These stakes could save your life if the camp is attacked. They must be placed correctly. The last stake is in place. Your section of the perimeter is complete. Ditch dug, rampart raised, palisade established. 12 feet of fortification, built in about an hour and a half by 8 exhausted men. Step back and look at it. The fortification runs the entire perimeter of the camp. A complete defensive circuit. Ditch, rampart, palisade. gates at the cardinal points, heavily guarded. The camp is now a fortress. A temporary fortress, yes, but a real one nonetheless. This is Roman military power, not the legions in battle. The ability to march 20 miles carrying enormous weight, then immediately build a fortified camp. Do it every day. Make it look routine. This is what makes Rome unstoppable. The fortifications are complete, but you're not done. Now you need shelter. Your tent must be erected. The mule carrying your contubanium's tent has been led to your assigned position inside the camp. The layout is already marked. Someone marked it while you were building fortifications. Your tent goes in this specific spot, same relative position as every other soldier's tent. The camp's internal organization is as standardized as its defenses. 8 men, 1 tent. You've done this thousands of times. Unload the roll tent from the mule. Unfurl it. Position it correctly. Entrance facing the main road through camp, as regulations require. The tent poles, 2 tall ones that fit together to form the center support. You assemble them, raise them. Someone holds them upright while others spread the tent leather over them. The leather is heavy, unwieldy. It takes all 8 of you to maneuver it into place. Stakes at the corners, hammered into the ground. Guy ropes attached to the stakes, then to the tent. Pull the ropes tight. The tent takes shape. A pyramid of leather, about 10 feet on each side. You're home for the night. The work goes quickly because it has to. Everyone is too tired for delays. Efficient movements, no wasted energy. In 10 minutes, the tent is up and secured. Inside, you spread your sleeping mat. The ground is hard, but it's ground that isn't moving. After marching all day, even hard ground feels like luxury. Your blanket, still smelling of last night's sleep, goes on the mat. Your equipment, armor, weapons, tools, goes in its designated spot at the edge of the tent. 7 other men are doing the same thing. 8 sleeping spots arranged around the tent's perimeter, feet pointing toward the center pole. Tight quarters, but you're used to it. You've shared this space with these men for years. The camp is complete now. What was an empty field an hour and a half ago is now a fortified settlement. Ditch, rampart, palisade, internal streets, hundreds of tents, command headquarters, hospital, storage areas. A city that sprang into existence in the time it takes to eat dinner. A city that will vanish just as quickly tomorrow morning. This is what Roman legions do. Build and march. March and build. The cycle never ends. You've built hundreds of these camps. They blur together in memory. Different locations, identical structures. The sameness is the point. Predictability. Reliability. Roman order imposed on chaos. You're finally done with work. Finally allowed to rest. Or at least, to prepare for rest. There's still the evening meal to eat, equipment to maintain, guard duty to potentially stand. But the hard physical labor is over. You step outside the tent. The camp is settling into evening routine. Cooking fires are being lit. Men are gathering in their contubernii, preparing meals. The smell of wood smoke and cooking food fills the air. You're so tired you can barely stand. Every muscle aches. Your hands are destroyed. Your feet are agony. Your shoulders feel like they're carrying stones even though your pack is off. Your back is a solid mass of pain. But you're alive. You've survived another day. Another march, another camp, another cycle of the endless routine. Tomorrow you'll do it again. March, build, sleep. March, build, sleep. This is life in the Legion. For now, though, there's food, and rest, and a brief respite before it all starts again. Your contubernium gathers around your designated cooking area. It's not much, just a spot near your tent where you're allowed to have a small fire. Every contubernium has one. The camp is dotted with hundreds of small cooking fires, creating a constellation of orange light in the growing darkness. Tonight it's Marcus's turn to cook. Not you, another Marcus in your squad. There are 3 Marcuses total. You're distinguished by nicknames. He's Marcus the Short. You're Marcus Rufus, or just Rufus for your reddish hair. The third Marcus is Old Marcus, though he's only 35. Old by Legion standards. Marcus the Short is building up the fire. Wood was gathered during camp construction. There are always men assigned to collect firewood, while others dig ditches. Fuel is essential. Without fire, there's no hot food, no warmth, no light. The wood is dry, catches quickly. Flames lick up, casting dancing shadows. The evening meal is the main meal of the day. Breakfast was minimal. Lunch was non-existent. You marched through what would have been lunch. Now, finally, there's time to actually eat. The food stores are distributed from the Legion's supply wagons. Each contubernium receives its rations. Tonight it's grain, olive oil, salt, and a small amount of bacon. Bacon in the Roman sense, salted pork fat, not the crispy strips of modern breakfast. This bacon is more fat than meat, preserved in salt, rock hard. But it's protein and fat, rare and precious. Marcus the Short has a bronze pot. Every contubernium has one. It's blackened from years of use, dented, but functional. He fills it with water from the communal water point. The camp is near a stream, so water is plentiful tonight. On some nights, water is scarce, carefully rationed. Tonight you're lucky. The water goes on the fire. While it heats, Marcus prepares the grain. It's wheat, whole grains, that need cooking. He measures carefully. Each man gets a specific ration, and the amounts must be precise. Short someone, and there's complaints. Short yourself, and you go hungry. Get it wrong too often, and you lose cooking duty, which is actually one of the better jobs. Cooks eat first. The grain goes into the boiling water. Marcus adds olive oil, generous amounts. Oil makes everything more palatable, adds crucial calories. He adds salt. Not much, salt is expensive, but enough to give flavor. He crumbles in some of the bacon, cutting it with his pugio. The fat melts into the porridge, making it rich. The smell is incredible. After a day of marching and building, the smell of cooking food is almost overwhelming. Your stomach clenches with hunger. You realize you haven't really eaten since breakfast, just that bit of dried meat during the rest break. Your body is running on fumes. While the porridge cooks, someone produces hard biscuits. Where they came from, you don't know. Probably saved from breakfast rations, or traded from another contubernium. Legion economics is complicated. Food, equipment, small luxuries are constantly being traded, borrowed, owed. It's a whole economy within the army. The biscuits are softened in the cooking porridge. They absorb liquid, become edible. Left hard, they'd break teeth. Soften, they're filling, provide substance. Roman military food is fundamentally practical. Nothing is about taste. Everything is about sustenance. Gaius has produced wine. Actual wine, not just the vinegar water Posca. He must have bought it at the last town the Legion passed through. Wine is expensive, but Gaius doesn't drink his pay away like some soldiers. He saves, spends carefully. A flask of wine to share with the contubernium is a luxury, but not an unreasonable one. The wine is passed around. Each man takes a sip. It's rough, acidic, probably not good wine even by Roman standards. But after a day like today, it tastes like nectar from the gods. The alcohol burns going down, spreads warmth through your chest. Your tired muscles seem to relax slightly. The porridge is ready. Marcus ladles it into bowls, wooden bowls, one per man, each man responsible for his own. The porridge is thick, almost a solid mass. The grain has absorbed the water, swelled up. The bacon fat makes it glisten. It's not beautiful, but it's food. You eat, not delicately, not slowly. You shovel the porridge into your mouth, barely chewing. You're starving. Your body desperately needs fuel. The porridge is hot, almost burning your mouth, but you don't care. You eat until the bowl is empty, then use a piece of biscuit to wipe it clean, eat that too. Around the fire, 7 other men are eating with the same desperate hunger. No one talks. Talking takes time away from eating. There's only the sounds of men consuming food, spoons scraping bowls, swallowing, the occasional grunt of satisfaction. The meal doesn't last long. 10 minutes maybe. From empty bowls to empty bowls. But those 10 minutes are perhaps the best part of the day. Sitting down. By a fire. Eating hot food. After the march and the labor, this is luxury. Genuine luxury. Gaius belches loudly. That's better, he says. It's the first words anyone's spoken since the meal began. There's general agreement. Full belly makes everything more tolerable. Someone produces dice. There's always dice games in the evening if there's time and energy. Gambling is officially prohibited but universally practiced. The centurion knows. He pretends not to. As long as it doesn't cause fights or interfere with duties, he looks the other way. But tonight, no one has energy for dice. Everyone is too tired. The dice are put away. Instead, men just sit by the fire resting, enjoying the brief respite between labor and sleep. The camp around you is settling into evening routine. Thousands of fires. Thousands of men eating, resting, talking quietly. The day's work is done. The mandatory labor is complete. These hours between dinner and sleep are your own, more or less. Time to recover. Time to be human, rather than just a tool of the legion. # equipment maintenance 5-10-0530. But you're not done with responsibilities. Equipment must be maintained. This isn't optional. Poorly maintained equipment can get you killed, can get your brothers killed. Every soldier maintains his gear daily. Your gladius needs attention. You draw it from its scabbard. The blade has dirt on it from being carried all day. Dust, sweat, minor corrosion. You wipe it clean with an oiled rag. Every soldier carries oil for this purpose. Olive oil, the same oil used for cooking. It cleans, lubricates, protects against rust. The blade is scratched from use and practice. Nothing serious, just surface marks. But you check the edge. Run your thumb carefully along it. It's dulling. Not badly, but noticeably. A dull gladius is a useless gladius. You need to sharpen it. You have a whetstone in your pack. Every soldier does. You spit on the stone. Saliva works as well as water for sharpening. Begin running the blade along the stone in careful, practiced strokes. The sound is distinctive, metal on stone, a soft scraping. Around the camp, hundreds of other men are doing the same thing. The sound is everywhere. The edge improves with each stroke. You work patiently. Can't rush this. A poorly sharpened blade is worse than a dull one. Uneven edge, weak points. You've been doing this for 10 years. Your hands know the correct angle, the correct pressure. The blade becomes sharp again, ready for whatever comes. Your pudio needs the same treatment. Clean it, oil it, sharpen it. The pudio is smaller, easier to maintain. It's your utility tool as much as a weapon. You use it for everything: cutting rope, eating, cleaning under your nails. It needs to stay sharp. Your pila are checked next. The wooden shafts, any cracks? Any splits? A broken pilum is useless, dangerous even. Can break in your hand when you throw it. The shafts are sound tonight. The iron heads are intact. The soft iron shanks are straight. Good. Your pila are functional. Your armor is more complicated. The lorica segmentata is held together with leather straps and bronze fittings. The straps wear out, need replacement. The bronze can tarnish, weaken. You check each strap, each fitting. Test them, looking for weak points. One strap is fraying. Not broken yet, but it will be soon. You'll need to replace it. That means a trip to the Legion's leather worker, the Carrarius. He'll have replacement straps, but they're not free. You'll pay from your stipend or trade something. Everything has a cost in the Legion. Your shield, the scutum, took some damage today during the march. The rim is chipped in one place. The leather covering is torn slightly. Neither is critical, but both need repair. Chipped wood can splinter, injure your hand. Torn leather can let moisture in, rot the wood. You'll repair both tomorrow, during the day's rest breaks or whenever there's time. Your caligae are a disaster. The day's march destroyed them. The straps are stretched. The soles are worn. The hobnails, some are missing, knocked out by the constant pounding on stone roads. You'll need to replace the hobnails, maybe replace the entire sole. More work, more expense. Footwear is a constant maintenance challenge. But for tonight, you just clean them. Remove the caked mud and blood, yes, blood from your blistered feet. Let them dry by the fire. Tomorrow you'll deal with repairs. Tonight you're too tired. Other men are doing similar maintenance. Lucius is working on his armor. Gaius is repairing a tear in his tunic. Sextus is treating his belt with oil, keeping the leather supple. This is the price of military life: constant maintenance, constant vigilance. Equipment doesn't care for itself. The work is meditative in a way. Repetitive, mindless work that occupies your hands while your mind drifts. You think about nothing in particular. Just exist in this moment, by this fire, surrounded by your brothers, doing the simple work that keeps you alive. The centurion walks by, doing his evening rounds. He glances at your work, nods approval, moves on. Good. His approval means you're doing it right. His disapproval means punishment. You've learned to seek the former and avoid the latter. The equipment maintenance takes about 20 minutes. Not long, but necessary. When you're done, your weapons are clean and sharp. Your armor is functional. Your gear is ready for tomorrow. You can rest with a clear conscience. You've done your duty. The fire is burning low. Someone adds more wood. The flames leap up again. The warmth is pleasant. The evening has turned cool, and the fire's heat feels good on your face and hands. Men are talking now. Quiet conversations, nothing important. Gaius is complaining about his feet. Again. He always complains about his feet. Lucius is quiet as always. Sextus is telling a story about something that happened at the last garrison. You've heard the story before, but you listen anyway. There's comfort in familiar stories. Someone asks about tomorrow. Where is the Legion heading? No one knows for certain. Orders come from above. Common soldiers aren't told the strategic plan. You march where you're told to march. Fight when you're told to fight. The destination doesn't matter. Only the obedience matters. But there's speculation. Always speculation. Someone heard the legion is heading to the Rhine frontier. Someone else heard it's Germania. A third man insists you're going to Britannia. Everyone has opinions. No one has facts. It doesn't matter. You'll find out when you arrive, wherever that is. Talk turns to home. Someone mentions Rome. That starts a conversation about the city. Some men have been there. Most haven't. You haven't. You're from a small town south of Rome, never been to the great city itself. The men who have been described at the size, the crowds, the buildings, the noise. It sounds overwhelming. You're not sure you'd like it. Someone else talks about their hometown. A village in Gaul. He hasn't been back in 12 years. Doesn't know if his family is still alive. Doesn't know if the village still exists. This is common. Soldiers lose connection with their previous lives. The legion becomes their life. Their brothers in arms become their family. The conversation drifts to women. Always, eventually, conversation drifts to women. Men talk about girls they knew, girls they wish they'd known, girls they hope to know when they're discharged. The conversation is vulgar, crude, but good-natured. Just men being men, talking about the things men talk about. You don't participate much. Just listen. You're too tired to talk. Your eyes are heavy. The fire's warmth, the full belly, the exhaustion of the day, it's all combining to make you desperately sleepy. Someone mentions guard duty. That snaps you awake slightly. Guard duty. The thought fills you with dread. Please, not tonight. You're too tired for guard duty tonight. But the optio assigned shifts earlier. You check the roster in your memory. Your name wasn't on it. Relief floods through you. Not tonight. Tonight you can sleep uninterrupted. Tomorrow night, probably. But not tonight. The men assigned to first watch are gathering, preparing to take their positions. 4-hour shifts, rotating through the night. Someone is always awake, always watching. The camp is never unguarded. Even in friendly territory, even in the heart of the empire, a Roman legion maintains full security. Complacency kills. Vigilance preserves. The first watchmen trudge off toward their assigned posts on the rampart. You feel sympathy for them. Guard duty after a day like today is brutal. Standing still for 4 hours when your body is screaming for sleep. Fighting to stay awake. Knowing punishment awaits if you're caught sleeping on duty. It's its own form of torture. But not your torture tonight. Tonight you sleep. Finally, blessedly, you can sleep. The fire is dying down again. No one adds more wood. It's late. Time for sleep. The camp around you is quieting. Conversations ending. Fires going out. Thousands of men settling in for the night. You stand, stretch. Everything hurts. Your back cracks. Your knees pop. Your feet scream in protest. But you're vertical. That's something. Sleep well, Gaius says. He's heading into the tent. You too, you reply. The traditional exchange. Every night, the same words. Inside the tent, 7 men are arranging themselves in their sleeping spots. The familiar routine. Everyone knows their place. You know yours. The same spot you've slept in for years. You remove your armor. The relief is incredible. 20 pounds of metal lifted from your shoulders. You feel light, almost weightless. The armor goes in its designated spot, within arm's reach. If there's an alarm in the night, you need to be able to don it quickly. Your tunic is sweat-soaked, disgusting, but you don't have another. You sleep in what you wear. It will dry on your body during the night, be damp and uncomfortable in the morning. This is normal. Clean, dry clothing is a luxury you don't have. You lie down on your sleeping mat. The ground is hard beneath the thin leather, but you're so tired you barely notice. Your body sinks into rest immediately. Muscles unclench. Tension drains away. The pain becomes distant, manageable. Sleep is approaching. Around you, the other men are settling in too. The usual night sounds begin. Gaius starts snoring almost immediately. Someone else is shifting around, trying to get comfortable. Lucius is silent, already asleep or close to it. Outside, the camp is quiet. The guard watches. The fires glow dimly. Thousands of men sleep, recovering from today's exertions, building strength for tomorrow's march. You close your eyes. The day is over. Finally, mercifully, it's over. You survived another day in the Legion. Another march. Another camp. Another cycle of the endless routine. Tomorrow will be the same. Wake before dawn. March 20 miles. Build another camp. Eat, sleep, repeat. The day after that will be identical. And the day after that, for 15 more years. For your entire enlistment. But tomorrow is tomorrow's problem. Tonight, you sleep. Deep, exhausted, dreamless sleep. The sleep of a man pushed to his absolute limits. The sleep that's the only real escape from the grinding reality of Legion life. Your breathing slows, deepens, consciousness fades. You're asleep before you realize it's happening. Gone into the darkness, into oblivion, into the brief refuge that sleep provides. The Legion sleeps, and tomorrow it will wake and march again. Because that's what legions do. March, build, fight, survive. The cycle never ends. The machine never stops. But for now, for these few precious hours, you're free. Free in sleep. Free from duty. Free from pain. Just a man sleeping, resting, recovering. Human again, if only briefly. The night passes slowly, quietly. The camp breathes with the collective breath of 5,000 sleeping men. The guards watch. The stars wheel overhead. Time passes, as it always does. And morning will come, as it always does. And a cycle will begin again. Days blur together. Weeks become indistinguishable. You've been a legionary for 10 years now, and those 10 years have passed in a strange, disconnected way. Some days feel endless, the long marches, the hard labor, the brutal conditions. But the years themselves have flown by. You're 28 years old now. When did that happen? You were 18 when you enlisted. That person seems like a stranger. The Legion has a way of grinding down time. Every day is structured identically. Wake, march, build, sleep. Wake, march, build, sleep. The repetition makes time meaningless. You can't remember individual days. They've all merged into one long, continuous experience of labor and exhaustion. But seasons change. Seasons you notice. Seasons matter because they affect everything: the temperature, the terrain, the difficulty of marching, the availability of food. The Legion experiences time through seasons rather than days. You've seen 10 winters as a soldier, 10 summers, 10 cycles of spring planting and autumn harvest, though you don't plant or harvest anymore. You march past fields where peasants do that work. You're no longer part of that cycle. You're part of a different cycle now. The cycle of military campaigns and winter quarters. Your body has changed over these 10 years. You were lean when you enlisted, but soft. Farmer lean, not soldier lean. Now you're hard. Muscle and tendon and scar tissue. Your shoulders are massive from carrying weight. Your legs are thick with muscle from endless marching. Your hands are calloused beyond recognition, the skin like leather. You're also damaged. 10 years of this life has left marks. Your knees hurt constantly, the result of marching thousands of miles with too much weight. Your back has a permanent ache, from carrying equipment, from digging, from sleeping on hard ground. Your feet are a disaster of calluses, old blisters, and permanent damage. You'll never have healthy feet again. Your face has aged too. You're only 28, but you look 40. The sun, the wind, the constant exposure has weathered your skin. Lines around your eyes. Permanent squint from years of bright sun. Scars from minor injuries that add up. You look like what you are, a man who's lived a hard life. Some of the men who enlisted with you are gone now. Dead, mostly. Some from battle. More from disease. A few from accidents. One from infection after a minor cut on his hand festered and killed him in 3 days. Another from falling off a cliff during a mountain march. Another from fever that came suddenly and took him before anyone could do anything. You remember their names. Marcus, but not you or the other Marcuses in your squad. A different Marcus from a different century. He died in Germania, cut down by a German warrior during a skirmish. You saw it happen. Saw him fall. Saw the light go out of his eyes. That was 5 years ago. You still think about him sometimes. Titus died from dysentery. He wasted away over weeks, unable to keep food down, growing thinner and weaker until his body just gave up. That was 3 years ago. He was 24. Died shitting himself in the Legion hospital tent. No glory. No honor. Just misery and death. Publius died from a practice drill gone wrong. A spear meant to miss him didn't. Went through his throat. He drowned in his own blood while everyone watched, helpless. That was 2 years ago. The man who threw the spear was flogged for carelessness, but Publius stayed dead. These deaths don't affect you the way they once would have. The first death you witnessed shocked you, horrified you, gave you nightmares. Now death is just part of the routine. Men die. You acknowledge it, burn or bury the body depending on their wishes, redistribute their equipment, and continue. The Legion moves on. It always moves on. But your contubernium has stayed mostly intact. 8 men, the same 8, for 10 years now. Gaius is still snoring every night. Lucius is still silent and competent. Sextus is still a decent cook. The others, Marcus, Julius, Quintus, and Aulus, they're still here. You've all survived together. That's rare. Most squads lose men regularly, get replacements, never develop the deep familiarity your group has. You trust these men with your life. You have no choice. In combat, you literally depend on them. But it's more than that. You know them better than you knew your own family. You've shared 10 years of hardship. That creates bonds that blood relations can't match. The Legion itself has changed location many times. You've served in Gaul, Germania, Spania, back to Italia, then to Pannonia. You've seen more of the empire than most people see in 10 lifetimes. But you haven't really seen it. You've marched through it, camped in it, built fortifications in it. But you haven't experienced it the way a traveler would. Every place looks the same from inside a legionary camp. The same routine. The same work. The same exhaustion. The location changes, but the experience doesn't. You've marched through beautiful countryside and never noticed. You've passed historic cities and never entered them. You exist in a bubble of military routine that's impervious to the outside world. ## Winter Campaigns A6-0-06-15-0. Winter is the worst. You've experienced 10 winters with the Legion, and each one was miserable in its own way. Romans prefer not to campaign in winter. Too difficult, too dangerous, too many men lost to cold and disease. Usually legions go into winter quarters, permanent or semi-permanent forts where they wait out the worst weather. Winter quarters are boring but relatively comfortable. Actual buildings instead of tents. Time to rest and recover. Reduced duty. It's the closest thing to vacation a legionary gets. But sometimes campaigns continue through winter. Sometimes the emperor or the legate decides that military necessity outweighs soldier comfort. Those winters are hell. You remember the winter 3 years ago? The legion was pursuing a German tribe that had raided across the Rhine. The legate wanted them punished before spring. So you marched in December. In Germania. In the snow. That march was the hardest thing you've ever done. The cold was brutal. Bone-deep, numbing cold that made your fingers useless, your feet blocks of ice. Your armor became so cold it burned skin through clothing. Metal conducts cold as readily as heat. Wearing frozen armor is torture. The roads were covered in snow and ice. Marching was treacherous. Men slipped, fell, injured themselves. Some broke bones from falls. Those men were loaded onto wagons, lucky if they recovered, dead if infection set in. You marched carefully, watching every step, terrified of falling. The tents provided no warmth. Canvas doesn't insulate. You'd lie on frozen ground, wrapped in every piece of clothing you own, still shivering uncontrollably. Sleep was impossible. You'd drift in and out of consciousness, too cold to really sleep, too exhausted not to. Food was a problem in winter campaigns. Foraging was impossible. Nothing grows in winter. Supply trains struggled through snow. Sometimes supplies didn't arrive. You'd go days on reduced rations, burning calories trying to stay warm, not replacing them. You lost weight. Everyone did. By the end of that winter campaign, every man looked like a skeleton in armor. The work was harder too. Building camps in frozen ground was brutal. Picks bounced off earth that was hard as stone. You'd light fires to soften the ground, then dig while it was briefly thawed. Slow, exhausting work in sub-zero temperatures. Frostbite took men. Fingers and toes turning black, dying, having to be amputated. You saw men lose fingers to frostbite that winter. One man lost all his toes. He survived but was discharged, useless to the Legion without toes. He received no pension, no benefits. Just sent home a cripple. The enemy you were chasing suffered too. Everyone suffers in winter. The Germans were starving, freezing, desperate. When you finally caught them, the battle was brief and vicious. Starving men fighting other starving men. Neither side had much strength left. But Rome's discipline prevailed. The Germans were slaughtered. Their village burned. The survivors enslaved. You felt no triumph. Just relief that it was over. That you could finally stop marching. That you'd survived another horror. The Legion turned back toward warmer regions, toward winter quarters, toward rest. The march back was almost as bad as the march out. That winter killed more men than any battle you fought. Exposure, disease, exhaustion, accidents. The Legion that returned to winter quarters was smaller than the one that had left. The empty spaces in formation were filled with replacements in spring, but the men who died stayed dead. Winter campaigns are rare because they're so destructive. But they happen. And when they do, you endure them because you have no choice. Summer is its own misery. Heat instead of cold, but suffering nonetheless. The worst summer was 2 years ago. The legion was sent to Syria, the eastern frontier. A different kind of heat than Italia or Gaul. Desert heat. Dry, intense, relentless. Marching in Syrian summer was like marching through an oven. The sun beat down from a cloudless sky. The air itself felt hot, like breathing fire. Your armor became a furnace. The metal absorbed heat, cooked you inside it. Men collapsed from heat exhaustion regularly. Water was precious. Always precious, but especially in the desert. The legion marched from oasis to oasis, from well to well. Sometimes the wells were dry. Sometimes they were poisoned by the enemy. You learned to ration water carefully. Tiny sips throughout the day, never drinking your fill, always thirsty. Thirst becomes maddening in the desert. It's all you can think about. Water. Cool water. Enough water to drink until your belly hurts. The fantasy consumes your mind. But the fantasy stays fantasy. You drink your ration, and no more. The desert terrain was brutal too. Sand got everywhere. In your armor, your clothes, your food, your eyes. You'd be finding sand in your equipment months after leaving Syria. The sand was also difficult to march through. Soft sand that shifted under your caligy, making every step require extra effort. Your legs burned with exhaustion after desert marches. The nights were strange. Brutally hot days, then suddenly cold nights. The temperature would plummet after sunset. You'd go from sweating to shivering. Desert nights required blankets that seemed absurd during the day. The temperature swings were disorienting, exhausting in their own way. The enemy in Syria was different too. Not massed armies, but raiders. Fast cavalry on desert horses. They'd appear suddenly, loose arrows, disappear into the desert before you could respond. Frustrating warfare. Nothing to march toward, nothing to build camps against. Just constant harassment, constant danger, men dying from arrows shot by enemies you never saw clearly. The legion adapted. Changed tactics. Sent out its own cavalry in pursuit. Built a chain of forts across the desert. Slowly, methodically, Rome imposed order even here. But it took time. And cost lives. Men who died from heat, from ambush, from disease unique to the region. You are glad to leave Syria. To return to more temperate regions where water was plentiful and the sun less murderous. But the memory stays. The knowledge that the legion could send you anywhere. That Rome's empire spans environments from frozen Germanic forests to Syrian deserts. That a legionary must be prepared for any environment, any enemy, any challenge. Not all time in the legion is campaigning. Much of it is garrison duty. Months or years spent in permanent forts, maintaining order, keeping the frontier secure. You've done garrison duty in several locations. A fort on the Rhine. Another on the Danube. A year in Britannia, which was wet and miserable, but not actively dangerous. Garrison life is different from campaign life. Easier in some ways. Harder in others. The work is different. Instead of marching and building camps, you're maintaining the fort. Repair work. Standing watch on the walls. Patrolling the local area. Training exercises. Administrative tasks. It's less physically demanding than campaigning. You're not marching 20 miles a day. You're not digging ditches every night. But it's boring. Incredibly boring. The same tasks every day. The same routine. At least on campaign, the location changes. You're moving. There's a sense of purpose, even if that purpose is just getting to the next camp. Garrison duty is static. You wake up in the same fort, do the same work, go to sleep in the same fort. Day after day. Month after month. The monotony breaks men. Some go mad from the boredom. Start fights out of sheer frustration. Disobey orders just to feel something different. The centurions are harsher during garrison duty because they're dealing with restless men who have too much time and not enough to do. The one advantage of garrison duty is the local population. Forts are usually near towns. Towns mean taverns, women, entertainment, things that don't exist on campaign. Soldiers spend their pay in the local economy. Drink too much. Get in fights with locals. Sleep with local women, sometimes paying, sometimes not. You've participated in this. Not proud of it, but not ashamed either. You're a soldier. You take what pleasures are available. You've drunk too much in frontier taverns, woken up with crushing hangovers, spent money you should have saved. You've been with women whose names you didn't know and didn't ask. These are the small rebellions against the grinding routine. The brief moments of feeling alive, feeling human, feeling something other than exhausted. Some soldiers marry local women. It's not legal. Legionaries aren't allowed to marry while serving. But they form relationships anyway. Common law marriages that everyone acknowledges, but officially doesn't exist. Some men have children with these women. Children they support with part of their pay. Families that wait for them outside the fort gates. You haven't gone that far. Haven't formed those attachments. Partly because you move too often. Partly because you don't want the complication. Partly because you know too many men who left unofficial wives and children behind when the Legion moved, never to see them again. That seems cruel. Better to keep things simple. Temporary. Transactional. But you've watched brothers in your contubernium struggle with it. Gaius had a woman in the Rhine fort. Talked about her constantly. When the Legion was transferred to Pannonia, he was devastated. He wanted to desert, to stay with her. You talked him out of it. Desertion means death, and death means he'd never see anyone ever again. He came with the Legion, but he was different after. Quieter. More bitter. More broken. The Legion breaks things. Not just bodies but spirits. Hearts. Futures. It takes men and grinds them down over 25 years until what's left barely remembers being human. Some men survive this intact. Most don't. You're not sure which category you fall into. Years pass. Seasons cycle. You march, you fight, you build, you garrison, you endure. The 15 years remaining on your enlistment seem impossible. An eternity. But you've already done 10. 10 years ago, 25 years seemed impossible too. Yet here you are. Older. Harder. Damaged. But alive. Still functioning. Still a soldier. You try not to think about the future. About discharge, retirement, the farm the Legion promises. About whether you'll live to see it. Whether you'll even want it if you do. The Legion is all you know now. Civilian life seems foreign, impossible to imagine. Maybe you'll die before discharge. That would be simpler in a way. No need to figure out what comes after. But that's thinking too far ahead. You focus on today. On getting through today. Tomorrow will handle itself. That's the only way to survive this. One day at a time. One march at a time. One camp at a time. For 15 more years. Or until death. Whichever comes first. The seasons turn. The years pass. You endure. That's all. You endure. You've been a soldier for 15 years now. 15 years of marching, building, training, enduring. But actual combat? That's been rare. Skirmishes, yes. Patrols that turned into firefights. A few small-scale engagements. But a real battle, a major battle with the Legion deployed in full force, you can count those on one hand. This is one of those times. The Legion has been marching for 3 days toward enemy territory. A Germanic tribe has been raiding across the frontier. The Emperor wants them crushed, punished, made an example of. So the Legion marches to war. You know battle is coming. Everyone knows. The scouts have located the enemy. They're gathered in force, several thousand warriors, preparing to meet Rome's soldiers. The legate has decided to engage. Tomorrow, the Legion will fight. Tonight's camp is different. There's a tension in the air. Men are quieter than usual. Some are sharpening weapons obsessively, even though they were already sharp. Others are checking armor for the 10th time. Some are praying to their gods. Everyone processes the knowledge of imminent combat in their own way. You're not afraid exactly. Fear would imply uncertainty. You know what's coming. You've been in combat before. You know the chaos, the noise, the violence. Knowledge doesn't make it less terrible, but it does make it less frightening. The unknown terrifies. The known just has to be endured. Your equipment is ready. Your gladius is razor sharp. Your pila are functional. Your armor is secure. Your shield is sound. You've checked everything twice. There's nothing more to do but wait. Gaius is nervous. You can tell by the way he's talking too much, making jokes that aren't funny. He's been in battles before too, but he never gets used to it. Some men don't. Each time is like the first time for them. The fear never dulls. Lucius is silent. More silent than usual. He's maintaining his equipment with focused intensity, not looking at anyone, lost in his own thoughts. You've learned not to disturb Lucius before battle. He needs this time. The centurion gathers the century for a brief speech. He's done this before. Given pre-battle speeches. They're all variations of the same theme. Rome is invincible. The Legion is superior. The enemy are barbarians who will break before Roman discipline. Victory is certain. Just follow orders and you'll survive. You've heard it all before. It might even be true. The Legion usually does win. Roman tactics, Roman training, Roman equipment, all superior to most enemies. But usually winning doesn't mean you personally won't die. Plenty of men on the winning side still die. Battles are chaotic. Random. A man standing next to you can be killed while you survive untouched. There's no justice in it. No fairness. Just luck. The speech ends. The centurion dismisses you. Back to your tent to try to sleep. As if sleep is possible. Some men will sleep, exhaustion is powerful. But you won't. You'll lie awake, thinking about tomorrow, until exhaustion finally drags you under. The camp is quieter than usual tonight. Fewer conversations. Less gambling. Men sitting by fires, staring into flames, thinking their private thoughts. Tomorrow, some of these men will be dead. Everyone knows it. No one says it. You eat your evening ration, but taste nothing. Food is just fuel tonight. You're not hungry? Your stomach is tight with anticipation. But you eat anyway, because you'll need the energy tomorrow. As darkness falls, you lie in your tent, listening to the sounds of the camp. Gaius is snoring, despite his nerves. Lucius is awake, you can tell by his breathing. Outside, the guards walk their rounds. Life continues as if tomorrow were just another day. But it's not. Tomorrow, the legion goes to war. You sleep eventually. Fitful, disturbed sleep full of disconnected images. You wake several times during the night, disoriented, before remembering where you are and what's coming. The last time you wake, it's nearly dawn. Time to face what's ahead. Morning comes too quickly. The routine is the same: wake, eat, break camp. But everything feels different. Heavier. More significant. This isn't a march to another campsite. This is a march to battle. The legion forms up. 5,000 men in full armor. The sight is impressive even to you, and you're part of it. The Germanic scouts on the hills must see this formation and feel fear. 5,000 disciplined soldiers moving as one. The power of Rome made visible. The enemy is visible too, about a mile ahead. A mass of warriors. Thousands of them. They're not in formation. Germans don't fight that way. They're a crowd, a mob, fierce and brave, but disorganized. They're shouting, beating weapons on shields, trying to intimidate. The sound carries across the distance. The legion is silent. Romans don't shout before battle. They march in silence, save for the commands of officers. The silence is more intimidating than shouting. Silence implies confidence. Control. The certainty of victory. You're in the third rank. The first two ranks will make initial contact. Your support, ready to step forward if men ahead fall. This is good positioning, less dangerous than front rank, but still close enough to matter. Close enough to kill and be killed. The distance closes. 1 mile. Half a mile. Quarter mile. You can see individual enemy warriors now. See their faces, their weapons. They're big men, tall, bearded. They wear little armor, rely on courage rather than protection. They look fierce. They probably are fierce. But fierce doesn't beat disciplined. 100 yards. The legion halts. Orders are shouted. Ready, pila! You shift your grip on your first javelin. The pila are heavy, awkward. They're not meant for carrying long distances. They're meant for throwing. And the time for throwing is now. Loose! The order rings out. The first ranks throw their pila. 2,000 javelins arc through the air. Then the second ranks, including yours. Loose! You draw back and throw. The pilum leaves your hand, flies toward the enemy mass. Around you, 4,000 more javelins are doing the same. The pila crash into the Germanic warriors. Men go down, struck by the heavy spears. Others find their shields now useless, dragged down by pila stuck in them, the soft iron shanks bent and impossible to remove. The javelin barrage creates chaos in the enemy formation. Draw gladii, advance. The order comes. You draw your gladius. The blade whispers against the scabbard. Around you, 5,000 men draw their swords. The sound is distinctive, almost musical. The sound of Rome, preparing to kill. The legion advances. Not running, Romans don't charge wildly. You advance at a walk, shields up, swords ready, in perfect formation. Discipline against chaos. Order against barbarian fury. The distance closes. 50 yards. 25. The enemy is charging now, screaming their war cries. They're brave. You'll give them that. Brave to charge a Roman shield wall. Foolish, but brave. 10 yards. 5. Impact. The shield wall crashes into the Germanic charge. The sound is enormous. Metal on wood on metal. The screaming of men. The chaos of melee combat. You're in it now. No more waiting. No more anticipation. Just violence. A German warrior swings an axe at you. Your shield takes the blow. The impact jars your arm, but the shield holds. You thrust with your gladius, aiming for the belly. The blade goes in. Resistance, then give. You pull it out. The man falls. You don't watch. Already moving to the next threat. The battle is confusion. Everything happens at once. You're focused on the man in front of you, but aware of threats from all sides. Your shield protects your left. Your sword threatens ahead. Your brothers in arms protect your right and rear. The formation holds. That's what matters. As long as the formation holds, you're safe. Relatively safe. Another warrior. This one with a spear. He thrusts. You deflect with your shield, step inside his reach, stab upward. Your gladius finds his throat. Blood sprays. Hot blood on your face, in your mouth. The taste of copper. You spit and move on. Time becomes meaningless. You're not thinking anymore. Just reacting. Training takes over. Block, thrust, block, thrust. Your body knows what to do. You've drilled these movements thousands of times. Now they happen automatically. The man next to you goes down, taken in the side by a spear that got past his shield. He falls with a scream. You step into his position, maintaining the line. Someone from the rank behind steps into your old position. The formation adapts, continues. The fighting is brutal but brief. Germans are brave but undisciplined. They fight as individuals. Romans fight as a unit. Individual bravery can't overcome collective discipline. Slowly, inevitably, the Germans are pushed back. Men break, turn, run. And suddenly, it's over. The enemy is fleeing. The Legion has won. Of course the Legion has won. The Legion always wins. You're standing in a field of bodies. German dead mostly, but some Romans too. Your brothers. Men you knew. They lie still among the enemy dead. Later, they'll be collected, burned, or buried. But for now, they just lie there, testimony to the cost of victory. You're covered in blood. Most of it isn't yours. Your armor is dented. Your shield is chewed up, barely functional. But you're alive. Intact. No wounds. You've survived another battle. The centurion is shouting. Reorganize. Form up. The battle might not be over. There might be a counterattack. The Legion prepares for possibilities that don't materialize. The Germans are broken, fleeing. The battle is done. You clean your gladius on a dead man's clothing. Wipe the blood off as best you can. Sheath it. Look around at the carnage. Feel nothing. You should feel something. Horror, satisfaction, relief. But you feel nothing. Just emptiness. The battle is over. You survived. That's all that matters. Back at camp, the wounded are being treated. The Legion's medical personnel, capsarii and medici, are working frantically. Dozens of wounded men need attention. Some will live. Some won't. The doctors do their best. You're not wounded, but you help carry injured men to the hospital tent. This is everyone's duty. The wounded are your brothers. You care for them as they would care for you. The hospital tent is a scene of controlled chaos. Men lying on pallets, bleeding, groaning, crying out. The doctors move between them, assessing, prioritizing. The man who will die, no matter what, gets comfort but no treatment. The man who might be saved gets immediate attention. The man with minor wounds waits. Brutal calculus, but necessary. You see Marcus, not you, another Marcus from another century. He's been hit in the leg. The wound is deep, bleeding heavily. A medicus is working on him, trying to stop the bleeding, binding the wound tight. Marcus is conscious, teeth gritted, trying not to scream. The pain must be incredible. Another man has lost his arm, cut off at the elbow during the fighting. The stump has been cauterized with a red-hot iron. The smell of burned flesh fills the tent. He's unconscious from shock and pain. He might survive, might not. Even if he lives, he's done as a soldier. Discharged with no pension, sent home a cripple. Perhaps death would be kinder. A third man has a chest wound. You can hear the air whistling through the hole in his chest with each breath. The medicus looks at him, moves on. Nothing to be done. The man will drown in his own blood within hours. He's given wine to dull the pain, and left to die as comfortably as possible. This is the reality of battle. The aftermath is worse than the fighting itself. During battle, you're too busy to think. After, you see the cost. The broken bodies. The screaming wounded. The permanent damage. The lives ruined or ended. You help where you can. Hold men down while wounds are treated. Bring water to the thirsty. Clean blood off equipment. Simple tasks that need doing. The work is grim, but necessary. By evening, the situation has stabilized. The wounded have been treated or have died. The dead have been counted, prepared for burial. The legion has taken casualties, 43 dead, 72 wounded. Light casualties for a major battle. The enemy lost hundreds. A Roman victory, decisive and complete. But 43 men are still dead. 43 brothers gone. Their equipment will be redistributed. Their positions in formation will be filled by other men. The legion adapts, continues. But they're still gone. Still dead. Still lost forever. You don't think about this too much. Can't think about it too much. If you dwelt on every death, every loss, you'd go mad. You acknowledge it briefly, then move on. Survival requires a certain callousness. You've developed that callousness over 15 years. Years pass. More years of marching, building, fighting, surviving. You're 33 now. 15 years of service completed. 10 more to go. 10 more years until discharge, until retirement, until freedom. If you survive that long, your body is failing. Not dramatically, but steadily. Your knees are worse. Walking causes pain now, constant pain. Marching is agony. But you march anyway, because that's what you do. Your back is permanently damaged. Something in your spine isn't right. You can't bend the way you used to. Getting up from sitting is difficult. Every morning you wake in pain that takes an hour of movement to ease slightly. Your hands shake slightly when you're tired. Some kind of nerve damage, you think. Makes fine work difficult. But you can still hold a sword, still fight, so the legion doesn't care. You've lost more teeth. Half your teeth are gone now. Chewing is difficult. You eat mostly soft foods, porridge and soups. Hard bread is nearly impossible. Your jaw hurts constantly. Your hearing is going. Years of battle, of being near the carnyx horns, of constant noise. You have a ringing in your ears that never stops. People have to speak loudly for you to understand them. In battle, you rely on visual signals because you can't hear orders clearly. You're not alone in this deterioration. Every veteran is damaged. The legion breaks bodies methodically, relentlessly. By the time men reach discharge, they're physically destroyed. Worn out. Used up. Discarded. But you're still here. Still functional enough to soldier. That's what matters to the legion. As long as you can march and fight, you're useful. When you can't anymore, you'll be discharged. Until then, you serve. Some of your contubernium are gone now. Sextus died 2 years ago. Fever took him, sudden and fierce. Dead in 4 days. Gaius died last year. Killed in a skirmish on the frontier. Took a spear in the back while retreating. Died instantly at least. No suffering. Their positions were filled with new men. Younger men. Boys, really. 18, 19 years old. Fresh recruits. They look at you with something like awe. You're a veteran, 15 years of service. To them, you're ancient. Wise. Experienced. You feel ancient. But not wise. Just tired. You teach these young ones what you know. How to maintain equipment. How to survive marches. How to not die in battle. Some listen. Some don't. The ones who don't often die quickly. The ones who do might survive. Might become veterans themselves. Might end up like you, broken, exhausted, counting down years to discharge. Finally, after 25 years, it ends. You're 43 years old. You've been a soldier for your entire adult life. And now, suddenly, you're not. The discharge ceremony is brief. The legate reads your name. You step forward. You're handed a wooden tablet, your discharge diploma. Proof of service. Proof you've completed your term. You're also given your savings, the money deducted from your pay over 25 years, plus the discharge bonus the emperor provides. It's a decent sum. Enough to buy land, start over. You're also given a plot of land. The Legion grants land to discharged veterans. It's frontier land usually. Land that needs defending, settling. You're being used one last time, even in retirement. A veteran colonist who can fight if needed. But it's land. Yours. After 25 years of owning nothing, you own something. You leave the Legion with mixed feelings. Relief, certainly. The daily grind is over. No more marches. No more fortifications. No more sleeping on the ground. You're free. But also loss. The Legion has been your life. Your brothers in arms were your family. The routine was oppressive, but also comforting. You knew your place, your role. Now you have to figure out civilian life. You're not sure you remember how. You travel to your land grant. It's in Pannonia near the Danube frontier. The land is decent, farmable. There's a small house, crude but functional. You're a farmer again. Like your father. Like you would have been if you'd never enlisted. But you're not the same person who left that farm 25 years ago. That boy was soft, naive, hopeful. You're hard, damaged, empty. You know too much. You've seen too much. You've done too much. You can't go back to being that boy. The physical work of farming is difficult. Your body is too damaged for heavy labor. You struggle with tasks that should be easy. Plowing. Digging. Even walking long distances is hard. The Legion extracted 25 years of labor from you and left you broken. You're alone. Never married. No family. No children. Some discharged veterans have wives waiting, families to return to. You have no one. Just yourself and your damaged body and your memories. The memories are the worst part. They come unbidden. You'll be working, and suddenly you're back in Germania, watching Marcus die. Or you're in the desert, dying of thirst. Or you're in battle, covered in blood. The memories are vivid, intrusive, unavoidable. You don't sleep well. Never have, really, but it's worse now. Without the exhaustion of daily marches, sleep is elusive. You lie awake, mind churning. When you do sleep, you dream of the legion, of marching, of fighting. You wake exhausted, as if you've been marching all night. Some days you miss the legion, miss the routine, miss knowing exactly what you're supposed to do and when. Civilian life is complicated. You have to make decisions. You're not good at decisions. You're good at following orders. Other veterans live nearby. Other discharged soldiers given land in this colony. You see them occasionally. You recognize the same emptiness in their eyes. The same damage. You don't talk much. What is there to say? You all know. You all lived it. You survive. That's all. You work your land. You eat. You sleep poorly. You age. Your body continues its decline. The damage accumulated over 25 years doesn't heal. It just gets worse. You're 45 now. You've been discharged for 2 years. You might live another 10 years. Maybe 20 if you're unlucky. Years of pain and memories and isolation. This is retirement. This is freedom. It doesn't feel like victory. But you survived. That counts for something. You served Rome for 25 years. Marched thousands of miles. Built hundreds of camps. Fought in dozens of battles. You were a Roman legionary. One of the men who built and maintained the greatest empire the world has known. That has to mean something. You tell yourself it means something. On bad days, you're not sure you believe it. But you survived. You endured. You completed your service. And now you wait for death. Whenever it comes, however it comes. You've survived so much that death doesn't frighten you anymore. When it comes, it will almost be a relief. An end to the pain. An end to the memories. An end to the endless, grinding survival that defines your existence. For now, you work your farm. You tend your land. You exist. That's enough. It has to be enough. Because it's all there is. This was the life of a Roman legionary soldier. Not glorious. Not heroic. Just hard. Endlessly, relentlessly hard. A life of marching, building, fighting, surviving. 25 years of service that breaks men's bodies and spirits. History remembers Rome's conquests. The battles won. The territories claimed. The empire expanded. But history rarely remembers the individual soldiers who made it possible. Men like Marcus Antonius Rufus. Men who spent their lives marching Rome's roads, building Rome's camps, fighting Rome's wars. They were not special. Not heroes. Just soldiers. One among hundreds of thousands. Doing their jobs. Following orders. Surviving as best they could. Most didn't survive. Disease, accidents, battle, old age, the legion killed most of its soldiers one way or another. Those who did survive to discharge were broken. Used up. They got their land grants and their savings and were sent off to live whatever years remained to them. Some adjusted to civilian life. Many didn't. They'd been soldiers too long to be anything else. The Roman military machine was incredibly effective. It conquered most of the known world. Built roads, forts, cities across 3 continents. Maintained order and stability for centuries. But that effectiveness came at a cost. The cost was measured in individual lives. In men like Marcus. In the endless, grinding suffering of common soldiers. If you're still awake, you've spent over 8 hours experiencing the life of a Roman legionary. The daily routine. The exhaustion. The pain. The boredom. The brief moments of terror. The long years of endurance. This was their reality. Not the Hollywood version. Not the romantic notion of Roman glory. Just the mundane, brutal, exhausting reality of military life 2,000 years ago. These men built Rome's empire. Not emperors. Not senators. Not generals. Common soldiers. Marching. Building. Fighting. Dying. Their names are forgotten. Their sacrifices unremembered. But they were real. They lived. They suffered. They endured. Remember them. Not as heroes or villains. Just as men. Doing an impossible job for 25 years. Surviving when they could. Dying when they couldn't. Human beings grinding through inhuman circumstances. This was Rome. This was the Legion. This was the price of empire. Sleep well. And be grateful you'll never have to march 20 miles in armor carrying 90 pounds of equipment.